Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Women Who Rock with Success, which is an award-winning show for professional women. We profile a collective of amazing women who are thriving to build their brand. Women are handpicked in various fields who can provide credible information to build your business and lifestyle. We are live each Thursday at 9 a.m. Central Time, followed by our latest brand, Women Who Rock Investigates. To learn more about us, go to our website at www.womenwhorockwithsuccess.com. Now, let's join our podcast host in the studio, Mrs. Diane Winbush.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Women Who Rock with Success Media. Thank you for tuning in with us on today. And today we're going to be talking back with some more professionals in regards to business, branding, and coaching. And so the reason why this is very important, a lot of times individuals will say, well, I can go to Facebook and I can go to LinkedIn and do all of my advertising and building and marketing, and that's true. But when you have a coach to be able to help to guide you, help to think things out when you're worrying, that puts the worry on them, and that's the purpose of you hiring a coach, so they can be able to provide you with a perfect SWOT analysis of your business, and then also they can be able to help guide and coach you throughout the process, determining on how long that you decide to keep the coach. So to be able to help us to understand a little bit more about coaching and the reason why we need to have this to perfect our business, we have Dr. Robin Buckley, who's in the studio with us, and she's going to be able to take us forward in this interview. So good morning and welcome to Women Who Rock with Success Media.
Thank you so much, Diane. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely, and we are excited that you are here as well. So we want, first of all, to be able to tell us a little bit about you, and then also kind of what thrived you as well to become a coach, because sometimes we may start out doing one thing and then we'll say, okay, here's another idea where we can be able to help professionals along the way, and then also I'm able to monetize that where individuals can be able to be effective in their business, and I think that's very important. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So the work that I do is with executive females, and by executive I mean business owners or women who are really starting on transitions into the career that they want and that they love, as well as with professional couples. So I do work both individually as well as with couples, and my journey started, I actually have my PhD in clinical psychology. So I did the traditional mental health route for a long time. But my transition to becoming a coach, although I was trained as a coach in 2005, I didn't actually start doing it full-time until about 15 years ago. And it was because mental health is about intervention during crisis, and that never made sense to me. That the preventative, proactive approach of coaching is what makes sense, and that's why I do what I do, to help people before there's problems, to help them create a plan and a strategy and really achieve what they want out of their relationships or out of their career.
Okay, great. That's wonderful. And so, of course, what I shared at the beginning, at the top of the hour, we, of course, we're talking about, sometimes individuals may utilize different other types of resources or sources to be able to brand and to be able to help them to market and advertise. But share with the listeners the difference in coaching. There's a difference, because as I stated before, when you have someone to hold your hand, they're there. They take the stress off of what you're trying to do, what you can't do alone by yourself. So share with us a little bit about that.
Yeah, coaching gives people the opportunity to have that objective space to think in a logical way and have someone, guide them, because true coaching is about asking the client questions, because the client is the expert on their life and on where they want to go with their life, but sometimes it's our emotions or fears that get in the way. And so a coach, ideally, who should be well-trained, who should have some kind of background that supports the idea of coaching, either through education or training. And I love that you're laughing, because you know what I mean by that, Diane. It's the idea that you're working with someone who is trained to be able to help you get through those cognitive and emotional blocks so you can start to see the path clearer. I always envision coaching like a guide with a machete, and the guide is just clearing the path, as you're going through the jungle, so that you can start to see the path and see where you want to get to.
Right, absolutely, because the reason why I did laugh was because anyone can be a coach, but once they're professional, they're certified, they have been trained, it makes a difference. So take, for instance, I'm going to even go further and say this. Of course, we have had many of coaches on our show, but just think about if a coach is asked to be able to speak at a TEDx speaking event, it's going to show whether you've been to school or not.
Yeah.
It's going to show in front of the audience. And first of all, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr.
No,
Lawson.
it's so true. And it's funny that you say that because I just finished my first TEDx talk in May. So I know what you're saying from being on that stage. And it is so true that what it's this double-edged sword. From a personal perspective, I love that coaching isn't licensed or regulated, because then you can do coaching wherever. I can work with couples or individuals internationally. My fear is anybody can do coaching, as you said. So someone with, I'm hoping, just a genuine good heart and did really well in their business now thinks that he or she can be a coach. And I'm like, that's a consultant or a mentor. That's not a coach. And so when I talk to people, I work really hard to educate them, like, work with me or not. Like, obviously we have to have a rapport, but at least walk away knowing what you should ask for to know whether that coach has the training and or education to support what you're investing in.
Absolutely, because as I was stating before, it's very, very important because, and sometimes, we may can pull it off with certain audiences and what have you, and there are certain audiences that you're not going to be able to pull it off. As you stated, it's a difference, and I'm so thankful that you pointed that out. Mentor. Sometimes we are mentors. We're not a coach. So it's a difference between the two. And then when a person has their credentials, they have their licenses and what have you in those fields and areas, then you will know that you're getting all that it is that you need versus just someone's personal their personal lifestyle or what have you and things, because people are looking to monetize. They're not looking for, when you're trying to be a mentor and a coach and you're trying to, perhaps maybe commingle both of the titles together. You're not going to be able to do that because someone is going to get fired, and it's going to be the one that's trying to be a coach, and they're actually a mentor. So it's very, very important. And so that's the reason why we try to differentiate that on the show. And mostly of our audience, they're professional, they're entertainment, arts, and corporate American women, so they know the difference between the two. So, it's very, very important that people don't try to commingle that together. So wonderful. That's an awesome response. So what is the difference between couples coaching and couples therapy? We're going to talk about that.
Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that question. So couples therapy is, it always, I always sigh at the beginning because so many people are afraid of couples therapy, and I understand why. Couples therapy has a reputation of that last-ditch effort before you get divorced. A couple is typically in crisis when they go to therapy, and very often couples therapy is a deep dive into the past, and sometimes that is necessary, particularly if there's been infidelity, abuse, addiction, or some kind of significant loss, like the loss of a child or someone close to the couple. Couples coaching is a newer idea that not every couple needs therapy. Some couples just need that coaching environment to be able to get out of the rut they're in. And I don't know about you, Diane, but in my marriage, we get in ruts sometimes. Sometimes things get in the way, or we're not paying attention to our relationship enough to be able to really keep continuing to foster its health. So with couples coaching, it is not couples in crisis. It's couples who are like, you know what, we know we can be happier. We know we can be more satisfied in our relationship, but we don't know how to do that. And so couples coaching in general goes from that, where are you now in the present, what's working and what's not, how can we change what's not working, and then what do you want to do, how do you want to get to the future, what kind of relationship do you want in the future. My work that I do, I actually created a proprietary coaching model that focuses on a business framework. So when I work with couples, we talk about their relationship like a business. And from the building blocks and some of the even business references like KPIs and delineation of roles and mission statements. And it really helps frame it in a way that couples can talk about a really personal thing like their relationship from a very objective, strategic perspective.
Okay, great. So we're going to back up a little bit. We're going to kind of put that in a pin in that, and we're going to back up, and we're going to come back up to the business plan. We want to talk about that, and so we want to talk about your coaching business as well. And so we're going to start with the facts, I guess, as to give us 3 entry level initiatives, or not initiatives, or like an initial intake. So if someone comes to you and say, "Oh, Dr. Robin or Dr. Buckley, we want you to be able to help us to be able to build a business plan." So tell us a little bit about that, and if that is something of a element that you, or a component that you offer in your coaching business. So tell us about 3, about 2 or 3. We don't want to give out all the nuggets that we would have you, but just about 2 or 3 different initial intakes, because a lot of our coaches that we have on the show, they'll be like, okay, we're going to see first of all see if we're a match, and that's important.
Right.
Sometimes people will come to you and they are not a perfect, and the coach will sit there and take they will take the monetizing, but they know that they cannot be able to help this business or this entrepreneur. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you, Diane. So, the beginning is all about rapport, and I think that is so essential. And so I will always do a 15 to 30-minute complimentary strategy call where we just, usually it's over Zoom, so they can actually see me and I can see them. And I talk about my model. And I do have couples who say, we don't really want to think about our relationship like a business. And I'll talk about why. But some couples just cannot jump to that and with a comfort to really start off. And that's okay. They have to find what works for them. The other thing is I definitely screen them for those things that I mentioned. So infidelity, loss, addiction, or abuse. Because again, I don't want to mislead anyone that coaching is therapy. It is not. And I work really hard to delineate the two. And with my background, I really can clearly help people understand the difference. So if any of those are going on, I refer them to couples therapists to start there. From there, if they decide to move forward with me, then typically we start with a values inventory. And it's a really simplistic, actually, your listeners can go to my website and take the values inventory that I use with couples. And it walks couples through, it's basically a 3-step process of really getting to, at an individual level, what truly are their core values. Now, this is not to then say, oh, your values don't match up, so you have to get divorced. That is certainly not the idea of this. But it's seeing where the couple is aligned and where they're not aligned. And the beauty of being not aligned in all the areas of the values is then you kind of broaden what the values are and what each individual is bringing to the relationship. So it does not have to be a perfect match. It's like, okay, that's your value system. That's what you bring into the relationship. And yours is different, but then that's great because then you add that. It's like creating a perfect recipe sometimes. And when the values misalign or are in direct conflict, that's where some great conversations can happen in terms of strategy. How do we build that into your business plan for your marriage or for your relationship so that they don't create conflict, so that they can work to create a stronger foundation for the relationship rather than eroding the relationship? So once we establish the conversation around values, then one of the activities that I love most is I will ask couples, so, do you have a mission statement? And very often couples will say, oh, yeah, at work, I have a mission statement. I know what my organization is about or what my business. I'm like, no, we're not here about that. What is your mission statement for your relationship? And I always get like the deer in the headlights look. And I look at them, I'm like, all right, well, tell me why you have a mission statement for your business or your organization. And they can rattle off, it provides a North Star and everybody is aligned around the one core direction and, all the good things about mission statements. And my question back to them is always, then why don't you have that in your relationship? And my couples are so wonderful. They're like, I don't know. Why don't we have a mission statement? And I'm like, exactly.
Wow.
So then they get to work on that. They get to do what I usually ask them to do is individually write in mission statements. And I have a worksheet that I can walk them through to kind of help them. But then the beauty is then they come together to create a unified mission statement. And it isn't just something that gets put on the wall like in a lot of organizations. They're on the walls, everybody, and nobody ever reads them. the mission statement to me becomes a tool. And it's a tool that then they have actually, whether they put it on their monitor or a lot of my couples put it on their phones. And they use it in those moments almost as a litmus test of, is what I'm doing supporting the relationship? And if you don't mind, I'll give you an example, Diane, so it's really clear to your listeners.
Correct. Go ahead.
One of the couples that I've worked with recently, there was a trip where they were going to go visit the husband's parents. And the husband's family was this Italian, like very much like communicative, touchy-feely, very extroverted family. The wife was as far from that as possible. She was a true introvert. And so there was always tension when they would go visit his family because it wasn't a place of comfort. And it ended up that it would roll over to fights between the husband and wife. So on this trip, they had been working with me a while. They had created their mission statement. It was on their phones. And she said, Robin, I got to tell you, we went, and it was day 3 of a week-long trip, and I could just feel myself starting to just, like, get really tense. I was starting to get kind of snarky with my husband, taking it out on him. She's like, and when I saw the look on his face, she's like, I excused myself, went into the bathroom, and I sat there. She's like, for 5 minutes, and I just kept rereading the mission statement and reminding me, this is who we are, that the extended family, yes, is part of our life, but it's not who we are as a couple, and that my reactions were not going to support what we were about as a couple. And so she said, once I got that in my head, I was able to walk out, and when I could feel myself reacting, saying, nope, that's not going to support our mission statement, so I'm not going to react that way. That's where the mission statement becomes this dynamic tool, and that's what I work with couples, throughout all the work we do, creating tools and strategies that actually are so concrete, just like in business, that it pushes that envelope to the success they really want.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's the only thing I can say. We have a marriage conference that's coming up Saturday, and then we're going to climax it on that following Tuesday. And I really wish I could have got you on here as one of the panelists, because this is so amazing. Because sometimes, we don't never think about that. Business plan, in a relationship, mission statement, and then we have to stick to it just like a business professional would have to stick to it in a, in their business in order to make it work. Wow.
It's funny,
that's one thing I just,
so many.
Go ahead.
This model came out of all the women I was working with, and eventually we would, even though they were there for their careers, they would talk about their relationships. Right. And I kept bringing them back to, well, tell me, if you're having conflict with a coworker, how would you handle it at work? And these women could tell me exactly how they would do it and what they would do to make it effective and work. And I would say to them, if they didn't already realize it, why can't you use those same skills at home? And I think that's where the breakdown is for a lot of people. We don't think about, hey, what am I good at? I can do these things at work, and I do them flawlessly as a leader or as a worker, whatever role it might be. Why can't I translate some of those into my relationship to have the similar kind of success? And like you said, using some of these business strategies that you don't have to have your degree from Harvard to apply simple business strategies like annual reviews, like KPIs, these ideas that can help structure the relationship again. And some people will argue, they're like, oh, but, marriage is about love and sexual attraction. I'm like, those are the bells and whistles. If you don't have a strong foundation, those are going to go away. So if you have a strong foundation, the sexual attraction and the love are only going to get better. But you need that foundation first.
Wow. Absolutely. So we want to kind of talk about proprietary model. And so now when it comes to that, how can couples use that into their relationship?
Yeah, so what ends up happening is after couples work with me, and there's no set time. Some couples literally come in, they work with me for new couples, new to my practice, will come in and they'll work with me 3 sessions and they're good to go. Some need more time. A lot of my repeat couples are the ones that have worked with me, got to a good place, and then they come back because either they want booster sessions. They're like, we just want to check in once a year, make sure we're on the right path. Again, just like you would with your PCP, just like you do with your boss at work for your annual reviews. Make sure we're still doing the things that make our relationship strong, and make sure we have a plan for anything that is undermining our relationship. And so when they leave after their initial work with me, they walk out with a black and white electronic business plan. So over the weeks that they work with me, I'm creating a Google Doc that I share with the couple that they continue to add to, reference, just like you do in business. And so there is, and as a wife that I was working with the couple just yesterday, she said, it's so great because when I can't remember something, I just check the notes, and it's something that helps me remind me of the strategies in between our sessions with you. And I'm like, exactly. It's not something that you have to like retain in memory, because when couples are trying to figure things out, sometimes it's hard to remember, and you fall back on those old practices or habits that are not beneficial. So that's what couples walk away with, a concrete plan for their relationship or marriage.
Okay, wow. Okay. And so here's another question. What are some ways for, I guess, I don't know. I'm going to say something, and it may be a little far-fetched. And sometimes it may be women sometimes can be kind of a little bit over toxic sometimes. Sometimes we could be a little bit over toxic sometimes, and we can overthink things sometimes. I guess I don't know if it's because of it's emotional or what have you, or it could be something in the fact that women wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, we're wives, we work 9 to 5 or whatever the occupation may be, and then we go to the grocery store, and then we have to do laundry. We have to do a lot of things, more than men have to do.
Yeah, we're told to do it all. Do it all.
Yeah, exactly. And so I guess that's going to be the next question. What are some of the ways to eliminate the imposter syndrome? Because that kind of stuck out with me right there about the syndrome part. Yeah. I think sometimes we as women, we do have syndrome issues. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think we captured a couple different things in your question. So with women, I think actually it's interesting. So with people who identify as female, I see that the model works because it helps them compartmentalize their emotions. And I think that's challenging for a lot of women, that our emotions are just part of how we exist. And so when we start to talk about, problems in a marriage, it becomes very emotional. But when people talk to me, we talk about pain points. What's the pain point in the relationship? And just the change in terminology creates that objective space. So women have this ability then to not have these emotional reactions that get in the way of them communicating effectively, thinking strategically, all of that. Men, or people who identify as male, they resonate with the model because it isn't as emotional, because they're not as comfortable with expressing their emotions. And so that, again, objective strategic place aligns with who they are anyway, and they're like, okay, good, I can do this. So it works from both sides. Now, the imposter syndrome, oh, my goodness, you are talking a topic that I think comes up every time I sit down with most female clients. That idea of the imposter syndrome, and it so dominates female existence. And I think it is because of the reason you said, Diane, that we are told we can have it all. But the problem is the expectation in society is, okay, that means you can do all the old things women, were raised to do, and our standards and norms of what being a woman is, and you can do all the new things. Instead of saying, okay, but what do you really want? And you literally can't do it all at the same time. So the imposter syndrome, the one biggest strategy I have women do is what I call a resume review. And what that is depending on how bad the imposter syndrome is. So it might be a daily activity, it might be a weekly activity, but they sit down and for 5 minutes, whether weekly or daily, they create a folder, again, either electronic or hard copy, of all the things that they've accomplished. So it might be degrees or certifications. It might be reviews from customers or employers. It might be annual reviews. It might be thank you notes. Whatever it is, they have it in this folder and their actual resume as well. And they review it to remind their brain, oh, no, I'm not an imposter. I've actually done all this stuff. And I actually can be in the room doing those things because of all this. Because if we don't give our brain the data to combat those feelings of fear and insecurity, then our brain's just going to keep going to it. Like, yep, nope, we're not supposed to be doing this. We're not supposed to be here. But if we remind it on a regular basis, then your brain can say, oh, wait a minute, no, we have our degree, or look at the amazing things that our clients have said about us. So if we don't give our brain contrary facts, it's going to keep going to the insecurity. And that's how women can start, to anybody, but certainly women can start to reduce that imposter syndrome very effectively.
Okay. So what would you like to leave, Robin, or Dr. Robin, with the audience on today in regards to the relationship coaching? Because we talked about a lot of things today. We have unpacked about the business plan model, wow. And then we've also unpacked about the mission statement. Wow, we can take these things that we learn in the office, and then we can also apply them to our relationship. That is, I've never heard of that before. We have had hundreds of coaches on the show, and this is my first time ever hearing something like that. So that is so wonderful.
I hear that a lot.
So tell us. Yeah, it is so unique. And see, I like that when a professional goes beyond the normality of, doing things. I'm going to do it because this is the way she's doing it, or this is the way I learned it in the textbook, or I saw this on YouTube, or what have you. Sometimes individuals are crafted and structured just for a specific way of how to do things, but they take it in a different, perspective, so individuals can still be able to win and soar, even in the relationship, but then as a professional business model as well. So we want you to be able to share that, put your last point of view and perspective. That's what you want to share with the audience. And then also include any books that you have published where the listeners can be able to go and find and pick up there, and then your social media handles. You can be able to share that as to how they can be able to follow you, and then you can also be able to share your website of any upcoming master classes that you may be sponsoring for the community or for the public, and they can also be able to participate as well.
Awesome. So I'll start with the easy one, the social media handles. I try and make it easy for everybody. It's just Dr. Robin Buckley, all one word. So DrRobin Buckley. You can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and God help me, my kids convinced me to be on TikTok, but I don't do anything cute or funny on TikTok. It's just my videos. So when it comes to, and my website is the same, drrobinbuckley.com. Here's what I want to leave your listeners with. This is the most important part. I challenge the notion that marriage is hard work. I was raised with that concept, and I just don't buy it. I don't think marriage is hard work. I think marriage is a choice about being diligent, conscientious, and dedicated to the health of the relationship. That's different, because when you say marriage is hard work, it doesn't feel like that's a choice. The choice is either being married or being divorced. I think there's an in-between of, nope, it's a choice that every day you contribute somehow to that relationship. Again, just like you do at work. If you went into work and you just sat around, you're not contributing and you'd be gone. But yet many couples just assume now we're married and that's it. And our date nights every once in a while, that'll maintain the relationship. It's a daily choice to do something to contribute to that commitment. That's not hard work. That is simply what you want, and everybody can have the relationship they want if they can clearly articulate it and then find a partner who is going to work to do the conscientious, dedicated time to make that relationship what they want.
Okay, great. Any books or any publications you would like to share?
Sure. I've been published a lot in entrepreneur.com. All of my press is on my webpage. I have two other books. One is called Voices from the Village, and it's advice for girls on the verge of adulthood. And then I just published a children's book just for fun called The Thinking Spot. It actually just came out this week. Both of those are on Amazon. And then my final one is I'm in the process of creating another book called Voices Through the Glass Ceiling. And it's women offering advice to young women on the verge of their careers. So that is a link that you can find on my website if any of your listeners want to contribute their own experiences to support the next generation of female leaders.
Okay, great. Wonderful, Robin. We thank you so much for being with us on the day. Women Who Rock with Success listeners, come on back here with us at 10 o'clock, and then you're going to meet us back here at 11 o'clock. We got some singers, artists, there's entertainment that's ready and lined up for you, so we're going to learn a bit about them. But today you learned about on this episode was about relationship, and it's very, very important because we don't want to jump from point A to point F without going through B, C, D, E, and F. So once again, Robin, thank you so much for being our guest on the day, and we hope to have you back
thank
soon.
you. This is awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.